team.
Yay, woohoo, whoop-de-doo.
The Baseball Hour with Tony Mazz.
Swing the bat.
The Baseball Hour is brought to you by Jackson Lumber. Find massmoney.gov, Golf, and Blue Moon Belgian White. Now, Tony Mazz on the Sports Hub.
And Abreu with the 0-2 to Story. He struck him out. The ball game ends on a K. The Red Sox fan 13 times. And things are not well, folks. The Red Sox lose their 5th in a row, and they come home 1-5 for the Fenway opener on Friday.
That was a big blast from that man there. Correa, a 3-run shot, changed the whole game. But you mentioned another 13. That's 38 strikeouts now in 3 games. Oof. Got to find a way to not strike out half the time and put no pressure on the defense whatsoever and just sort of move the line a little bit. It's something we just have not seen. Rallies, 3-4 guys getting on base at the same time. The offense got to get going, enjoy the off day. They're going to wake up here at home opener.
Wake up indeed. 1-5.
Just overall play over the course. Not good. We talk about, clearing a lot of stuff, putting it on play good defense, run the bases better, and overall this whole week wasn't great.
Week sucked, because that's what it did. It sucked. 1-5. Red Sox go to Houston, get their asses swept. Smoked 23-7, I think, was the cumulative score of the series against Houston. The Red Sox struck out 38 times in the 3 games. In their 5 losses, I believe they've struck out 60 times. 60. Feels like a good night to have Jared Carrabis on the program, doesn't it, Jimmy Stewart? Carrabis Wednesday. Boy, do we got a lot to talk about tonight. Jared is presented...
Tony's not acknowledging me, and it's really upsetting me.
No, I mean, there's some sort of wrestling reference to this thing, I think. Jared Carrabis is presented by Blue Moon Belgian White, served with its iconic orange slice ritual. Blue Moon is a one-of-a-kind game day beer experience. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Jared will be here for the full hour, 617-779-0985. We have a lot to talk about with the Red Sox. We'll take your calls as well. This is a horrible start for this team to begin this season. You don't need me to tell you that. The level of play, the quality of play has been absolutely atrocious. So I want to get to something in particular, but before I even do that, let me start with this simple question for Jared. How concerned are you?
They suck, Tony. It's a bad team. I'm actually...
So you don't believe that this is just some sort of skid here to start the year?
Here's where I'm at on this, and there's a lot of coping happening on my behalf. I understand that. I'm not going to put a positive spin on this. My take on it is that we are now seeing in real time everything that we feared during the offseason, where it's like, all right, the defense, what's that going to look like? The ability to hit home runs. What's the rotation look like after Garrett Crochet? And it's like, if Garrett Crochet can't stop the bleeding, who can? Don't know. So everything that you were sort of worrying about all winter, being like, well, let's wait to see it first. All right, it's a small sample. It's 6 games. It's 2 series. They haven't played a home game yet. I understand that. But it's certainly not a coincidence that everything that we thought would be an issue with this team is showing up as an issue immediately. And the thing that we talked about before we came on here, the leadership. Like, we're right back to 2024, pre Alex Bregman walking through that door, where it's like, all right, well, who's the leader on this team? Because we knew who the leader on the team was last year. Who's the guy that when right now you've lost 5 straight games after winning on opening day, you've lost 5 straight games. Who's the guy that's going to settle the ship? Because I don't know that was a super happy clubhouse for 6 games into the season after the loss today. So more or less, yeah, that's my main observation, is everything that we sort of worried about this group has presented itself almost immediately.
Okay, so I want to go. I want to go more down the role of the leadership, which I think also relates to the roster, and we can get to all of that in this hour, because what has happened with this team has been abysmal. I mean, their level of play has been abysmal. Is not too strong a word. And so, Jared, here's my point. It's one thing to get off to a bad start and go 2-4, 3-3. You know, you have a couple of games that are really bad, but you also look good in a couple of games. And my point is, if you look at this Red Sox roster, I don't think the roster completely, totally sucks.
It doesn't.
I don't think that they are the Chicago White Sox. I don't think that they are the Colorado Rockies. I don't think they're that kind of team. And yet, right now, they're playing like it. So the question is, why and what's wrong? Okay, so now let me ask you a more pointed, specific question about something that happened today that I think is symptomatic of what their problem is, or at least somehow relates to their problem. Carlos Narvaez is the starting catcher for this team. He's supposed to catch Garrett Crochet today and was in the starting lineup. Alex Cora, roughly, 90 minutes, 2 hours before the game, whatever it was, pulled him from the lineup, told the media that, it wasn't because of injury. Basically gave the indication that it was disciplinary in nature.
But wouldn't say that.
Right. Wouldn't say it, but...
What else could it be?
Okay. Didn't say it was an injury. Wouldn't say it was for anything else. He has a personal issue, or just said, we're going to leave that as it is. So what could lead a manager to take his starting catcher out of the lineup and then, more importantly, let everyone know that it was a manager's decision? So if we don't know, we can say he didn't say it was disciplinary, but he certainly didn't cover for Narvaez either. In other words, he didn't say, yeah, look, his hammy's a little tight. He's got the flu. His stomach was, something was wrong. He wasn't feeling right, so we pulled him. He could have made up any one of a million excuses to eliminate the speculation that there was something going on with Narvaez and he pulled him out of the lineup. So first of all, if you had to guess, what do you think it was? And secondly, and maybe more importantly, why do you think Cora told us about it or didn't hide it from us?
If I had to guess, I know that the issue with Verdugo and him getting benched was him being late, and he hates that. So that would be my first guess as to why this happened. But I mean, the Red Sox YouTube channel did a special presentation on Narvaez's pregame routine. He's very routine oriented. And it's almost like he doesn't come off as like, oh, that's a guy that like strolls in late. He seems super prepared. We interviewed him in the dugout last summer, and he walked us through his entire routine, like what time he gets. Like he just seems like a very put together guy. So it doesn't make sense to me because in the case of Verdugo, sure, he got benched for being late. That was probably like the 9th or 10th time. Like Cora probably gave him every opportunity to be like, hey, stop showing up late. Stop showing up late, and he keeps doing it. Then you get benched for it to send the message. We're 6 games into the season. It just, I don't know. It doesn't, it would make sense if that was it, but with that guy in particular, it doesn't fit. Like in terms of the work ethic and the routine.
And who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who he is. So look, my understanding too, Jared, and I've heard this, I'm not around the team really much anymore, if at all, frankly. No reason to sugarcoat it. I'm barely over there, if ever. So, but for everything I hear about Narvaez is that Narvaez is widely respected. He's very professional, well-liked guy. He's not just respected, he's liked. The staff likes him, teammates like him, everybody likes him. So why did he bust the balls of this guy? Okay, now again, I'm going to give you my 2 cents and my theory on it because I'm as interested by the fact that we know it and Cora didn't sugarcoat it or try to hide it as I am about the fact that it happened at all. Guys are late to the ballpark. Pedro Martinez got pulled from a start once because he was late. It happens. Okay, now, but usually I would also agree with you that it takes more than one instance for a manager to lose his patience. We're 6 games in, and really, at the time Cora made the decision, we were 5 games in. They hadn't played the 6th game yet. So why would he, for lack of a better word, make a spectacle of it? And when I say make a spectacle, again, work with me. He didn't air the guy out, but he didn't protect him either. And in this day and age, that is revelatory in nature, if you ask me. There's a reason why, A, he picked Narvaez, and B, why he didn't hide it. And so I think he picked Narvaez because maybe Narvaez was late, it's out of character, and Cora said, I can't let this guy slide because if I let him slide, we're screwed. Teams played like garbage, and I think it was probably reflective in Cora's mind of a bigger problem. We're not prepared. Some of these young guys aren't prepared. They don't understand what it is to be professional. They're not coming in ready to go. And I'm going to try to call their attention to it by going after the guy that everybody respects. And in the same breath, I know that he will be able to handle it because he understands me. That's my guess. You tell me, far-fetched, realistic? Because put it this way, what I'm getting at is this. Cora saw a bigger problem that he didn't like, and Carlos Narvaez was a way to start addressing it. So you tell me, am I out of my mind, or is that a reasonable guess?
The more I think on it, the more it sounds like the showing up late thing was maybe a universal problem, and he just picked him. Like if everyone's showing up late, it's like, because if he's being looked at now as a new leader on the team, and that's the guy, it's like, well, then you have to lead. If you want to consider yourself a leader, well, they're going to follow you. So if you show up late once, they're going to think it's okay to show up late here and there. So if you're going to be the leader of this staff, you show up late, especially after losing 4 straight, and it's a Garrett Crochet start. Okay, now we have to set an example. That's the only thing that makes sense, because I can't imagine that this was a continuous issue with Narvaez. Like, he's just too routine oriented. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay, so you had said that Cora got agitated with Alex Verdugo years ago because Alex Verdugo was repeatedly late.
All the time.
Okay. So what is it about being late that angers Cora? Like, I'm asking you to take it a step, and it's obvious, I think.
I think it's a lack of respect for the uniform. It's a lack of respect for the fans that show up and pay the highest ticket prices in baseball. It shows that you don't care about winning. I mean, by benching someone that's late, you're showing that it's unacceptable to not put in maximum effort.
Okay. So the word I would use, and I'm just, again, I'm not talking. I also think it's unprofessional.
Sure, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a lack of professionalism that Cora has identified already. 5 games in. Again, it happened before the game today. 5 games in, there was a lack of professionalism that Cora has identified on this team, and he's trying to nip it in the bud. That would be my guess.
There was a hint of that during spring training as well. I'm not saying Carlos Narvaez. That was not on my radar, but there was a hint of that in spring training.
Of a team-wide lack of professionalism.
It was one guy, but it wasn't Narvaez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So 617-779-0985 is your number. We'll take your calls with Jared. When we come back, we'll get into last night's debacle and that ridiculous play in which the Red Sox chucked the ball around like it was a live grenade. And then on top of it, couldn't remember how many strikes it takes to strike a guy out. All of that. 617-779-0985 on the first appearance by Jared Carrabis in 2026 on the Baseball Hour.
sweeper, just stayed. You want that ball down. Kind of getting ready to block this thing for that strike three. Instead, it's left up, and the game has changed.
That was a big blow today. 3-run home run by Carlos Correa into those cheap seats in left field. Crawford boxes in Houston, breaks a 2-2 tie. Red Sox lose 5-2. Second the ball went out of the ballpark, you knew the game was over. 3-run lead. Red Sox are going to overcome 3 runs the way they're playing? No shot. And this point is obvious, but it bears stating. If you start losing the Garrett Crochet games, you're boned. There's no way out. A part of the Red Sox success was built on winning Crochet's games at least 2/3 of the time. Again, if he makes, just make it easy, 30 starts, you got to go 20-10 in those 30 starts. That puts you 10 over, you're 86-76. Then, whether you get to 88 or 90 or 94, all depends on how you do the other 4 days. But you got to go 10 over with Crochet at a minimum. Minimum. Right now, they're 500. That persists, Pork City. Okay? Porked. Mark in South Boston. What do you got, Mark?
Hey, guys. Jared, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey, if the Braves are 1-4 to start the season, right, and Eddie Perez is late, you think Bobby Cox puts Javi Lopez in on a Greg Maddux game?
Bobby Cox, I mean, I don't know. He's a very unpredictable man. I mean, one of the best managers of all time. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was back in an era where different guys, like he had Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddux. So it's like if one of those guys shows up late, they have a different set of rules.
Mark, what are you getting at? You didn't like the move?
Hated it.
Okay.
You 1-4. I'm not going as far as saying taking Butler out of the game. You 1-4. You make the point somewhere else down the line. You 1-4. You get Crochet in. He 27 games. He caught him last year. He loves catch. He loves pitching to him. He has a tough time in Houston as it is.
Okay, so you think it's the manager's fault that they are where they are?
No, I don't think it's no. Come on, Tony. I didn't say it like that. I'm just saying I don't think he should have said. I think he should have played Narvay today, and have a team meeting, say something. But I mean, a Crochet game, like you just said, 20-10. You can't lose this game today.
Okay, so look. Okay, they're 5 games in, or 6 games in. Mm-hmm. Like, let's not say that their season just ended. So I'm not going that far. I look less upon the decision as to what the reason was behind it. So, because clearly it's unusual.
Yeah.
You don't see a guy get benched 5 games into the year, Jared.
I go back to the point that I made earlier. I think it was a team thing that was happening, and he picked Narvaez. I don't think that this is a Narvaez issue. I think it was, if you're going to be one of the leaders on this team, and I am starting to see it happen across the roster, I'm making the example out of you. Because if I do this to player X who is somewhere like Monasterio or whatever, I'm not saying that it was an issue with him, but it's just like one of the last guys on the roster. Does it hit the same? No. So it's just like this is your status, and you were late, so you're going to be the example.
So this is my point to the caller: is that this isn't about Narvaez. You think this is about Narvaez? It's not. Cora sees something that he has identified as a problem within the walls of that clubhouse regarding the culture of the team. He doesn't think they're professional and taking it seriously enough, and they're not prepared. If you want my opinion, that's what it is. Cora used Narvaez as a vehicle to make a statement. He could have pulled Narvaez out of the game and no one would have known why. He could have said he had the flu. His stomach got upset this morning. He was vomiting. Who the hell would have known that? No one would have known it. He could have hidden it. He didn't hide it. He wanted everyone to know about it, including his clubhouse. So he stuck it to a guy because he thinks they've been dicking around here in the early part of the year and they're not prepared. Now, again, you can say that Cora is part of the problem. I think it comes down to players' performance in baseball. I've never seen a manager turn a 70-win team into a 100-win team and win a World Series. I've never seen it. Gary in Rhode Island. Go ahead, Gary.
Hi, Tony. I'll make it really brief. I respect your knowledge in baseball, but I was thinking this the other day on how much time they've been striking out. I remember Jack Clark and Jim Rice. They wanted them running out of town to get glasses and everything. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, record numbers, they're striking out everybody. What story? Going to strike out 400 times before they do something with them?
So, Gary, look.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you for the call. Jared, the offensive approach and the strikeouts. What's the issue there? Is it Pete Fatsi? Is it the organizational philosophy? Or is it they strike out a lot because they have players who strike out a lot?
It's the latter. Like Wilson Contreras, the strikeout rate was like 30%. He's going to come in here and strike out. I don't know how much you got to watch of the game today. Ceddanne Rafaela struck out on a ball that literally, I'm not exaggerating, bounced in the other batter's box.
Left-handed batter's box.
Yes, it bounced in the left-handed hitter's batter's box, and he swung at it for strike 3. Again, one of the things that we haven't even brought up yet is they suck at ABS. They don't know the strike zone. They challenge and they're wrong all the time. And not only that, it's when they do it. Ceddanne, I think it was Rafaela. He challenged. It was an 0-0 pitch in the first inning
Last night.
Third inning.
Third inning.
I thought it was the first inning.
No, because he bats at the bottom of the order.
Yeah, either way, super early in the game, his first at bat, and it's 0-0, and he challenged the first pitch, and he was wrong. So, like, that's another thing with this team. I don't know. If you got guys getting picked off, they've never been a particularly smart baseball team, but I think the ABS is going to make them look even dumber in a way because of when you're challenging and how accurate you are when you challenge, which is not very accurate. I think they're one of the worst teams in baseball.
I mean, Jared, if you really boil it down, that situation that you're talking about, 0-0, first pitch, you get behind 0-1, you challenge. Third inning, 1-0 game at the time. You know what that is? It's selfish. It's selfish. You can get out of that bat. That bat's nowhere near over. How many times have you been down 0-1 in your career? Happens all the time. Probably happens in more than half your at-bats, or at least half your at-bats if you go by the law of averages on the first pitch. And I would say it's better than 50-50. The first pitch is going to be a strike.
I also think it's shocking that they didn't have some sort of team meeting to be like, you have permission to use it, you do not have permission. Like, Ceddanne Rafaela should never have permission to use ABS. He swings at everything. Like, what do you don't know what a strike is.
Maybe they did have a meeting.
It doesn't seem like it.
but I would also say when they have had the issues they've had with the ABS in the early part of the year, don't you think to do it in the third inning on the first pitch of an at-bat in a 1-0 game is dumb?
I think it goes back to a conversation that we had last year when you had guys like Roman Anthony come up, and then the narrative became, are they teaching guys how to play baseball in the minors? Or
No.
are they teaching you how to swing hard and barrel and launch angle and exit velocity? Like, that's what we're teaching in the organization versus, like, do you know the actual rules of the game? Do you know situations in the game and in different leverage spots? Yeah, like, to me, the ABS has kind of revealed baseball IQ being a thing that's lacking with the team.
Yep, definitely. I want to get to more on that and organizational philosophy and teachings in a minute here. But Braden in Denver. Braden, what do you got?
Yeah, what's up, guys? This is a dream start to the season. This team needs to lose 100 games for anything to change up in that front office. I'm loving where we're heading. They need to, they're trying to win 85, 88 games and get blown out in the second round with this roster they've constructed. And that's, if they keep doing that, this is what we're going to see every single year. The worst thing that ever happened to this organization was trading your best player and then making the playoffs. So we need to keep losing. 90 to 100 games would be ideal, and maybe we'll get some good players.
Okay, so Braden, I'm not quite there yet, but I understand your point, which is that Jared. Let's try to do this quickly. But if the Red Sox had just left well enough alone, okay, in theory, the middle of your lineup this year could have been Devers, Bregman, because they were teammates at the beginning of last year.
They were.
And Roman Anthony. Mm-hmm. You could have those guys 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. Do it however you want with your old school, new school, whatever. You could have had those three guys. Instead, you now have, let's just include Anthony, even though he's hitting leadoff, along with Wilson Contreras, and on opening day it was Caleb Durbin, okay, who was hitting fifth. Now, I think Abreu would be better suited to be a fourth guy behind this group. He's played great here in the early part of the year, and good for him. He's the one guy who looks like he's ready to go.
Connor Wong.
Okay? So, but the organizational philosophy about team building. Is it born out of the National League Central? Because that's what it feels like.
You're insinuating that they've built a National League Central kind of team?
Yes, I that's exactly what I'm insinuating.
I feel like, yeah, you're not far off. Yeah, you're not far off because, I think Caleb Durbin is getting a lot of unnecessary heat. Obviously, he started the year with no hits on this first road trip, but I think he's experiencing what Verdugo experienced when he came here. It's just like Verdugo was traded for Mookie Betts and they play the same position. This wasn't a trade with Bregman, but everyone's looking at Durbin to be Alex Bregman's replacement when really like Wilson Contreras is the Bregman replacement from an offensive standpoint. Durbin's more of just like a scrappy, he was the number 8 hitter for a really good team last year. Yeah, I'm hitting 4th for this team. So yeah, he's a bottom third of the lineup hitter on a good team. So what does it tell you that he's not hitting in the bottom third for this team? Yeah,
Caleb Durbin is not the problem. Caleb Durbin is a symbol of the problem. He is now the face of this thing because if you ask me, the guy's a 4A player and they brought in a 4 player from Milwaukee.
All the Breslow additions are the face of this. Like, look at everyone that Breslow brought in for this year specifically. Who's doing well so far?
None of them.
Nobody.
I mean, what a mess. Seriously. Who came up with this whose brainchild was this plan? More when you come back, including the ugliest play from last night. And frankly, one of the ugliest plays and dumbest plays that I have seen the Red Sox make in my lifetime. And I'm combining a number of elements of that. There was a sequence last night that, to me, was as stupid as the Red Sox have looked in the, call it, 50 years I've been watching them. Kevin Majori
It sent Loberfito to third. There's got to be another one there somewhere.
Yeah, it's almost, Bayo obviously trying to cut it off, thinking it was to him. I don't know.
But he was going to home. He didn't have a chance.
Okay, guy's going down a second. Catcher makes a bad throw. Runner goes. Now the second baseman picks up the ball, tries to throw to the plate. Pitcher tries to cut it off. He deflects it. So Marcelo Meyer ends up getting an error on a ball that Brian Bayo deflected. So the question is, A, Meyer probably shouldn't have been thrown to the plate. B, what the hell is Bayo doing? They commit two players on the same play, and two errors on the same play. Then they come back to the game. And the entire sequence began with a swinging strike 2 to the batter. Except that on the next pitch, Bayo struck him out. It was a swinging strike 3, except nobody in the Red Sox dugout knew that it was 0-2. None.
Nobody. Never mind the dugout. Nobody.
Including the manager. So the Red Sox were so twisted from that play, or perhaps before it, that none of them could remember the count and ended up putting a guy on base that they had struck out. Now, nothing happened. There were no more runs. He didn't score, et cetera, et cetera. But the point is, they're all over the place. Their heads are all over the place. So now, I want to ask you this question, Jared. Years ago, I remember, and I always use this as an example because the Red Sox obviously train in the same place as the Minnesota Twins. Okay, they're in the same town in Fort Myers in Florida, and economically, they're in totally different worlds. The Red Sox are a big market team. The Twins are a small to middle market team. They had to play the game a different way. Minnesota never or rarely had the firepower of teams in the American League East, et cetera, et cetera. So you know what the Twins did? They built a culture of fundamentals, defense, base running, contact, because that's how they had to play to win. That was how they had to do it. They used to do drills. I was telling Felger this earlier, that they would all line up on the bases and they would practice dirt balls. Pitcher, the coaches would throw pitches in the dirt to the catcher, and the runners were instructed to go as soon as the ball hit the dirt. That's how the Twins took extra bases and tried to create offense, because they weren't going to be able to pay for a $40 million Manny Ramirez or Mike Trout or whoever else, Aaron Judge in the middle of their lineup, let alone Shohei Ohtani. They couldn't do it. Joe Mauer was sort of a unicorn to them. So they built a culture of fundamentals, attention to detail, and little things. The Red Sox are now trying to build the team the same way without a superstar slugger in the middle of the lineup. They don't want to pay Devers. They don't want to pay Bregman. They signed Anthony because he can get him for cheaper at a young age, et cetera, et cetera. But do the Red Sox practice the things that teams like the Brewers practice? And if they do, are they good at them? In other words, what's the organizational philosophy for baseball, Jared? How do they want to play?
It's a great question. Until I get there, because that's the stuff that I am interested in. I know that once upon a time, about 60 or 70 years ago, when you would be on the beat, that's one of the things.
I knew you were going to go there.
That's one of the things that you would do, is go to the batting cage and get information that way. I like networking, but I also like to just watch the guys work. Like, I want to see who's doing what, how long are they out there for, who are they talking to get information and feedback from. That's what I pay attention to. So until I get there and see that, I don't know that I have an opinion on it. But at least from like an organizational standpoint, I from the hitting side of things, I think that a lot of the criticism has been pretty accurate, and it's gotten loud, and I think it's fair. But from like a defensive perspective, yeah, like they made like a spectacle about bringing Roman Anthony out into the outfield last year when he made his debut, and he misplayed a ball in right, and then the next day he was out there in the middle. Like, people made a big thing about it. I don't think that there's a lack of teaching fundamentals at the big league level. I think that there's a lack of that, or there may have been a lack of that at the minor league level.
Definitely, and this is what I'm getting at. They're asking guys to now come up to the big leagues and do things that they haven't been teaching in the minor leagues. So how do you expect all of a sudden? And the other thing I do wonder about, offensively, what is the organization want? Do they care about strikeouts? Do they not want strikeouts? What do you believe in Pete Fatsi, for example, the hitting coach?
I mean, I as far as like coaches are concerned, I think everyone beats to their own drum. I think when you like perfect example, right? The Yankees have a hitting coach. They have a new hitting coach every year, whatever. Aaron Judge has a personal hitting coach. He's like, yeah, all right, you can have a hitting coach on staff, but I have my own. And I'm sure, what was it? Oviedo. I know we're talking hitting, but Oviedo after the game the other day, he was talking about how his velocity is down, and he's like, I feel great. I'm not hurt. I noticed that my velocity is down. I'm gonna talk to my guys about my mechanics, and then we'll try to get to the bottom of this. I feel like a lot of these guys, like everyone's like, oh, the Red Sox can't hit, so it's Pete Fatsy's fault. A lot of these guys are getting their own individually sourced information from guys where it's like, I came from another organization. I've been a journeyman, but I've kept the same hitting guy. I feel like that's baseball now. Is people have their once you get to a certain level. I'm sure that the guys that aren't paid as much are just whatever the organization provides for them. But the star players, the veteran players, they've got their own guys that they go back to.
Boy, that gets complicated. Then we'll try to zip through these calls here in the last little bit of the show. Again, we'll turn it over to Jimmy. Celtics pregame tonight, right? 7 o'clock. Who they got tonight? I haven't even freaking noticed that. I should know
Miami.
That. They got the Miami Heat. I did know that.
They'll lose tonight because they're in Miami.
I take that back.
Club's open all night.
I did know that. Andrew's in Iowa on the Red Sox lineup today. Go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
This has been insufferable at this point. Only thing, there's not a whole lot to do in Iowa, so it's the one thing I've been looking forward to for the last couple months. And I understand Roman Anthony's time in the World Baseball Classic, but I've never watched a game this early in the season where it feels like a must-win game. I understand it's not a must-win game. However, why is he not in the lineup? And then, this.
I'm sorry, Andrew, I'll stop there. Jared, should Anthony have been in the lineup today? Or maybe a better way to say it is, why wasn't he?
Yeah, everyone that saw the lineup today, they saw no Roman, they saw IKF, they saw a punt lineup, and people were freaking out. It's like a must-win game. I would have liked for him to have been in there, especially if he was available to pinch hit. It's like if you wanted to give him a day, then give him a day, I guess. But he's 21 years old. I'd like to see him in there. Maybe they're still managing from the injury and coming back, and it was part of the design. But he came off the bench, pinch hit, and hit a homer. So, it would have been, especially in a game that you didn't get blown out. What would 4 Roman ABs have looked like at the end of the day? And it changes the narrative going into the homestand, but. Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen him in there.
Well, and to your point, if you were going to give him the day off, then why'd you pinch hit him in the late innings, right? So again, maybe it was Cora sending a little bit of a message there or something that,
or just give him a breather. He's at the end of the day, we look at Roman Anthony. He's like he's a star, and he is, and he's the best player on the team, and he is. But he's 21, and he's not exactly hitting the cover off the ball to start the year. That was his first homer. So maybe it was just a situation where it's like, yeah, just take a breather, relax, don't let the pressure to get to you. It's a bad start to the year, but take a breather and we'll figure it out.
His first, he struck out 4 times last night. The first 3 of them were on 9 pitches combined.
Yeah.
Is that right? Chris in Texas. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, how you guys doing? Love listening to you on Wednesdays. I know there's a lot of other moving parts, but if I told you before the start of last season that you're going to lose Bregman and Devers between the start of last season to the beginning of this season, and all you were going to essentially replace them with is Wilson Contreras and Caleb Durbin, would you possibly think that you're going to have a better season with the understanding that you're not replacing them with any other big bats or anything like that?
No, of course not. No, and I don't think any of us would disagree with that. No. So this does get to Craig Breslow and the decisions they made during the offseason and how they built the team. Just look at the position for position thing, and it's totally unfair to Durbin, as you said earlier, Jared. Bregman out, Durbin in. That's a major loss. And I might be being too hard on Caleb Durbin. It sounds like I'm blaming him. I'm not. I'm just telling you, I think Caleb Durbin is a borderline big leaguer. I really do.
He was a 3-win player last year. Like, he's a good player, but he's not the guy that you acquire and you're like, that was the missing piece. This is what puts us over the top. But he's the kind of player where you're like, you need those guys. You need the grinders. You need the guys that are going to go out there and play every day and play well. But yeah, the first impression isn't great. But at the end of the day, he's a good player. He's a good big league ball player. But he's not a difference maker.
I just don't see the bat speed. The swing is slow and long, and he hits 11 home runs. Again, you want to bat him 8th on a team in the NL Central, no problem. He can be in the big leagues. He's not in what I would call first division, the top 10 teams in baseball. He's not a starter on those teams, or he shouldn't be. Graham's in Boston. Graham, go ahead.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Thanks for having me. Jared, big fan of yours.
Appreciate it.
Tony, I heard you say a manager not really shifting the vibe of the team, but John Farrell came in 2013 and took that 69-win team to a 97-win team and won the World Series. And he got banged after 2 straight playoff appearances after 5 years. And Tito, 2 World Series. He never finished with a season below 53% winning percentage, banged after 8 years. And we've been kind of seeing a lot of mediocrity recently. And obviously, Core's been the manager here. Now, Jared, I know you're a big fan of yours.
Mm-hmm. Graham, I'm going to let you go just because I think you're starting to ramble. And look, I'm a big fan of Jared's, too.
Thank you, Tony.
Do you think the Red Sox won because of Terry Francona, or did they win because they had David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez in the middle of the batting order?
I'm going to go with Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz, Tony.
Okay, and John Farrell had himself a fabulous first year. I would tell you, though, honestly, the Red Sox kind of stole that championship that year. They were a good team, but they also won it because they had John Lester, John Lackey at the front end of the rotation. They still had David Ortiz in the middle of the batting order, and Mike Napoli had a good year for him. Shane Victorino had a good year for him. But again, it was about the players. I think, now look, I think a bad manager can bring a team down. I think Bobby Valentine did that in part in 2012. But they didn't win that World Series because of John Farrell.
I don't think I heard one player be like, man, we couldn't have done it without John. Not one.
I mean, let's keep it real. Holy crap.
It's been 13 years. They've done plenty of interviews. I haven't heard one be like, man, Farrell was the reason why.
So the 2013 team, Jared, I'll make this quick, has always been a kind of a thorn in my side because I never thought that team was that good and they overachieved. And everyone said I didn't believe, and you're right, I didn't. And you know who else didn't believe in them that year to win the World Series?
Who?
Red Sox ownership and management. They were coming off a couple of really bad years, and you know what they were trying to do? Build an 85-win team, kind of what the Bruins have done this year. Build a mediocre team that played hard and could win 85 games. They ended up winning the World Series. And oh, by the way, look up the numbers from the ALCS against Detroit.
They hit like $1.17 as a team.
They got lucky in that series. The Tigers blew it, is what happened. Anyway, Jared, nice to have you back.
Good to see you, Tony.
Real optimistic, peachy winner of a day to have you on for your season debut.
Let's go Red Sox.
Celtics pregame coming up next. Max and Grandy tonight, Jimmy. Those two, right? They'll have the game at 7:30. Celtics Heat right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Stay tuned for more